A big key component here at Synergy Fitness is resistance band training. Right? Resistance band training has a lot of different ways that we can go about it, different uses for resistance bands. Okay? The resistance band is designed as a single loop, allows you to have multiple different motions that you can do with this by either stepping into the band and pulling. Right? We can take the band outside the body and pull, or we can do like I showed you with the different attachments. Now, depending on how you have the resistance band set up, that determines what the purpose of the resistance band is going to be. So, for example, I have this here hooked up into a double band, single attachment to the bar there, and I'm going to come over it, and now if I bring it into my hips, what I'm doing here is I'm creating stability in my core. It's one thing to just stand. It's another thing to stand when something's trying to pull you back. So now, standing here, creating that stability, putting myself into the core. Okay? So from this position now, I can learn how to take steps. I can learn how to get into a good sports stance. I can learn different motions, different planes and direction. So I'm staying in my core with what's called a horizontal vertex pulling me back, where you can't find that with machines, can't find that with dumbbells. Okay? So now this is being used as a resistance. We talk all the time about core strength and what core strength really means. Unfortunately, we have too much out there where people think that core strength is all about crunches and only about our ab work. Okay? But what core strength is all about is actually preventing movement. So when you're standing here and you have this resistance on you, you're preventing, okay, you're resisting the band from pulling you backwards. Just standing here is now in my core. Instead of going to a gym and laying on our back and bench pressing, we're putting ourselves on our feet. We're putting ourselves into situations just like we would outside in our everyday life. So this prepares ourselves for the stresses and the loads that get put on ourselves when we're carrying groceries or doing different things in our life, where we have things in our arms, or we have weight, and we need to be on our feet. Okay? So now this is resisting, okay? Or I have to resist the pulling back. So now let's take somebody that needs to learn how to do a pull-up. I'm sorry, a push-up, okay? When the push-up needs to be done, the problem that people have is not the ability of their chest or in their upper body, but the ability to actually hold and stabilize their core is actually the biggest issue. So I'm going to take a single band attachment here, I'm going to put it onto the bar here, and then I'm going to put this around my waist. So now what I'm doing here, and I'm going to come down to the floor. So now when I'm here, this resistance band is pulling me up, back away from the floor, preventing gravity from pushing my hips down. So now I can concentrate on the form of the push-up instead of my hips sagging down and me not having that strength. So now this resistance band is now turning into an assisting tool to allow me now to instruct my clients on how to do proper form with the use of a resistance band, instead of what you see in most places where people are trying to do all these crazy push-ups or these girl push-ups where their knees are on the ground. And where it really needs to be is you really need to understand that core strength, and this is a great tool to teach you how to connect to your core, how to understand proper form, so that you can then progress from now I have a black band here, then if I go down now from the resistance and I go into a red band, right, it's lowering the amount of resistance pulling me up, which means that the lower the band I get, the less assistance I have, the more strength I'm building up in my core. So we can use resistance bands to resist, or we can use them to assist. So they're a great training tool, as well as a great resistance tool for building up muscle strength and also endurance. So there'll be a lot of different ways of Synergy Fitness that we're using those, so I'm excited for you to come and learn. Namaste.